Hello. It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas here at Deliver More. Deliver More is brought to you by the team of exceptional little elves at Intech Services. We're here. That's the key word. We're here at 211, and we're face-to-face, and I am absolutely honored to be joined by our guest today, everybody. This man is our sales guru. He is the dean of the College of Inside Sales Knowledge, and to me, I just refer to him as my consigliere when it comes to all matters of sales and professionalism. Welcome, Mr. Tony Abato. Was that a good enough intro for you?
That was awesome.
Well, we're so glad that you came and joined us today, and it's really good to be face-to-face.
Yeah.
Last time we were doing this, we were doing it with Zoom, and it's just unnatural, and you got to wait for these pauses. This is going to be much better. It looks a lot like Christmas. It looks like the holiday season. That in and of itself is a little bit of progress, and we're slowly bringing back small things that ground us. You know, we identify as us. Did you have a lovely Thanksgiving?
I did, but I feel like I'm Franklin Delano Roosevelt over here at the Fireside Chat.
Well, it's funny you brought that up. No, that was the point today. Tony and I are going to have a little fireside chat, and if you think about fireside chats, Tony and I both being students of history, that holds a unique place in our culture because, you know, when things were bad during another anxious period of history, the Great Depression, from 1933 to 1944, FDR sought about these fireside chats, these weekly Sunday night radio addresses where he could speak directly to the American people, and it was a real novel way of trying to connect, you know, at a time when people felt separated. And I got to thinking about that, and that is exactly the genesis of how this podcast started. And Mike had this idea, you know, in this anxious time, we don't get to travel, we don't get to see people, but we could connect this way. So this podcast has been really, it's been really lovely. We've had a great experience with it so far. And today, as the holidays approach, Tony agreed to join us, and we wanted to talk a little bit about your approach to this particular time of year. And you and I were chatting before, and you said something really, I thought it was a really great way to put this. You said people tend to get, I think the terminology you used was a little twisted up with what December is supposed to look like professionally. So you've done it all. So from a sales perspective, from a management perspective, and let's start with sales. Could you tell us a little bit about how you approach this time of year that some people think is dead, and other people might disagree with that?
Yeah, well, depending on what you do for a living and what sales environment you're in, your month of December might be kind of quiet. Mm-hmm. And sometimes it's very busy. Things are closing, so you got to adjust. I've always been a big believer from my experiences that the best way to play is to plan ahead, and have some sort of game plan. If you're in a sales cycle that is traditionally slow in December, what are you going to do?
Yeah,
you have to think of things you can do that are going to help you for the following year. You have to be honest with yourself. I mean, what do you have to close? What do you have to, what are the things you can do to continue closing business? But at the same time, what can I do to fill in the gaps to generate things for next year? And one of those, a perfect example would be, I've always believed one of the best places to find opportunities is in the lists of the companies that used to buy from you.
Okay,
don't any longer.
So clients have kind of fallen off the radar for one reason or another.
It could be any reason, right? It could be that maybe they got mad at you. Maybe they just found another vendor who could supply what he wanted at a cheaper price, and he never came back to reprice, and they never got a call from me.
Yeah.
To try to get back in there. And those are the kinds of companies where maybe you want to go. It typically when you make a list of those kinds of companies, used to be customers, but aren't any longer, and you start dialing, you find out that all your preconceptions about what they thought about you aren't even true. You find out that you thought the guy who was mad at you doesn't even remember you.
Yeah.
Or the guy who does that you used to work with, or whoever was before you in your sales position used to work with, is dead. or gone to another company. It's a whole new ball game for you to reinvigorate or re-educate what is now a stone prospect. What do you want to find out? You want to find out still, are they doing the same things they used to do? Mm-hmm. Could they use your product if they knew about your product? Would they be interested in looking at alternatives? And this is all based on the belief, in my opinion anyway, that December, in the quiet times, people are still in the office.
Yeah.
But people want to pick up, they're comfortable with picking up the phone. They have more time to do it.
In this segment of our Fireside Chat, Tony provides some insight on why December is the ideal time to reach out.
What I learned was that people are more apt to pick up the phone, if they're going to pick up the phone, on a Friday afternoon. They're gearing down.
Yeah.
And they're open to, I just pick up the phone. Hey, this guy's been calling me for whatever it is. I don't know what it is, but it's kind of magical.
Yeah.
And it does work. And I think that's what December's always looked like to me.
Yeah, well, I think that's so interesting, like Friday afternoon. And I've heard people say in different kinds of sales business, Friday's the slow time. But, wow, you could really strike, lightning can strike, as you just proved.
Right.
Yeah.
And all this is great, except you still, it's not just about saying I want to knock on some doors on a Friday afternoon. It does take planning, and it does take collaboration.
Yeah.
One of the things I think that we miss, especially with the Zoom world and so forth, we've missed the camaraderie of the sales team.
Yeah.
Because part of the camaraderie is checking off of what each other's doing. Yeah. Sharing experience so that we can get better at what we do. It doesn't mean we can't do that in the Zoom world. We just have to make an extra effort to have it. Sales meetings, discuss the lists everybody got to call for those companies that aren't any longer our customers. Get together once a week and say, how you doing with the calls?
Yeah.
Finding out, where they're having roadblocks. What are the good experiences? It creates a momentum and an energy. So I think part of it is not only the planning, but it's the execution of it. Sure. And that takes management.
Tony has some unique traditions when it comes to the month of December. He tells us more in this segment. So I have a question that came from chatting with other people here. And Mike says it's one of the most unique things he's ever seen as far as, could you tell us a little bit about your tradition of making these certain phone calls to certain individuals in December? It's pretty unique.
Yeah. I love doing that.
Yeah.
It's that time of year, and I like to thank people for being my customer and working with me. It hasn't always been a smooth ride, especially in this kind of year, and to be able to call them up and say, I just wanted to, I was thinking about you. I hope you have a great holiday, and I really appreciate working with you.
Yeah,
it can be that simple. What you're doing is the surprise to somebody who gets a phone call like that from somebody who's in sales is you're not asking for anything. You just want to be, just acknowledge that you appreciate them, just like you would on the end of a letter. Mm-hmm. I used to write. I don't do it as much, and I should do that too.
What, a handwritten letter?
Yeah, not just a letter, but a card.
Mm-hmm.
With the company logo on it. But I think in some ways today, because people are so engrossed in emails, a personal phone call to thank somebody, and I got that years and years and years ago from some guy I really looked up to who was a salesman, and I remember him doing it in phone booths, put the quarter in before he went into the rusty scumper. But it works. Yeah. And it doesn't have to work. There's nothing you're going to get back from it other than an appreciation for the phone call, but it could mean a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. No, there's also a lot more warmth. We're talking seasonal stuff, sitting here by the fire. There's a lot more warmth in that phone call than in an email you could have written weeks ago and timed to shoot off whenever the hell you want.
Pasted it in.
Yeah.
You gave it to everybody on your list.
Yeah.
No, it's a nice holiday effect, and I think it's appreciated.
I think it is too.
I've never gotten one.
I'll have to give you a call right before Christmas. Let you know I appreciate you. Towards the end of our fireside chat, Tony and I go back to the old country and discuss the unique traditions from each of our Italian families at the holidays.
What am I going to have for the holidays?
Well, Tony and I share a common proud Italian-American heritage. And so are you a Seven Fishes guy on Christmas Eve, or what do you do?
Nah, I grew up, my family grew up in Little Italy in Baltimore, and it was next to the fish market. And, Italians are big on fresh.
Big time.
And if it's not fresh, you're not going to go buy Glauker's frozen stuff or whatever the hell. And so we didn't do that. What my family did was make raviolis. It was a family project. My earliest memories, and it lasted all the way up until they passed away, was we used to eat dinner with my grandfather every single Sunday, the whole family. He'd give instrument lessons, and all the cousins are running around. So that was at their house. For Christmas Eve, they came to our house and spent the whole family, all of them, came to our house, all the cousins and everything. And I can remember falling asleep and hearing my grandmother and my grandfather making the ravioli dough.
Those
stuff
old machines. Oh yeah.
Yeah, with the gravy, with the 3 meat or the bolognese sauce.
That's why all our grandmothers had forearms like Popeye, because they were using those damn machines.
They also had better mustaches than you. But anyway,
true.
But I'd hear, I'd wake up in the morning and I wouldn't go right for the tree. I'd go to the refrigerator.
Just start stealing
the ravioli. It's beautiful.
Oh, absolutely.
So we make them every year.
Do you? Yeah. That's fantastic.
And it's like going home. And I have a crank machine.
Yeah.
And it's the same one she used to use. It's 100 years old.
Brilliant. What do you have? Because this was something I remember growing up. In any Italian-American household you go in, I think they all suffered from the same delusion that they needed to make enough pizzelle to feed an army. Mm-hmm. Did you have a pizzelle iron? You still do? Did you make those?
Oh yeah, they're gorgeous.
I bet they are.
Dip it in the cappuccino.
Absolutely. Speaking of those things, I have a little something for you for joining us twice, and so I didn't wrap this traditionally, but I wanted you to know that I didn't get it off the back.
The top's all askew.
Well, because it doesn't fit in here, and I wanted to do something quick, and we didn't want the noise of the wrapping paper. But I got you this for our shared heritage, sir. I'd like you to have that, and I'd like you to own that proudly. So what I gave Tony...
Usually when I get a box like this, I listen to it.
I wanted Tony to have some sort of commemorative from this past summer.
Very nice.
Where the Italian national team, the champions of Euro 20, well, it's technically 2020 tournament, but it was in 2021. So that is a centenary edition jersey. It is very rare, and they don't sell them anymore. But from one proud Italian-American to another, I wanted you to have that and to say thank you for joining us now twice on Deliver More.
Thank you, Nick.
You're quite welcome.
I appreciate it.
You're quite welcome. As far as thank yous, as we're wrapping this one up, we definitely want to thank our amazing team here at Intech Services on behalf of Mike Patterson, everybody in that sales floor, everybody on the service team, and a special huge thank you to producer extraordinaire Frankie Fifth-Year, who's always keeping us looking good. He set this thing up, Tony. It's also important for us to thank every listener for every comment you've written, every suggestion you've sent in, every listen. To this podcast is certainly a gift to us, and we need to say a very sincere thank you to the people that listen. We did this just like the Fireside Chats of yore to try to connect in a genuine way with people. And in that spirit of being genuine, in that spirit of being honest with you, please know it's our privilege to produce this podcast and have you all listen. So look, as we go our separate ways, and we're all going to go out to celebrate the holidays and ring in a new year. Everybody here in Intech wishes all of you listeners, and certainly to you, Tony, the happiest of holidays. We wish you good health, and we hope that you enjoy all that the season has to offer. We'll see you next year at Studio 211, right here in Delaware. Tony, thank you so much. See you next time.